Hi everyone, so we're going to be doing some math madness today, and I hope you got your running shoes on because we're running around the house to complete our math activity. So, for this activity, you're going to need 2 decks of cards. So for everyone that's playing, they need at least 2 decks. And I'm going to explain this game and alternatives for those that are older than kindergarten to play this game, so that way they can also play along too. So for the kinders, what we're going to be doing is you have 2 decks of cards. Make sure that you take out all of the jokers and the kings, the queens, the aces, all the face cards. So the only cards you should have in your deck are the ones with numbers. So just make sure that they all have numbers on them. And most cards have how many the number is. So it'll have a 3 in the top corner and then 3 little spades or clovers or hearts or diamonds on the card as well. Those are the best types of cards to use, just for the sake of the students being able to count them and match them to what we're about to do. But that's okay if you don't. I have a pair that has pictures instead, so it's a little hard to tell what the face card and what the number is, but they have numbers at the very top right here, so it'll give them more of a challenge if they don't have the traditional spades on the cards as well. That's okay. It's just kind of whatever cards you have. So, once you've taken out all of the wild cards and face cards from the deck, what you're going to do is, depending on how many people are playing, you each need 2 decks. So what's going to happen is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to flip them. So I flipped a 2 and a 5. So now what I have to do is I have to run around the house really quick and find 2 somethings and 5 somethings. So that way I know for sure which number is more or less. So the way that we're going to do this is we're kind of putting the concrete to the abstract. We're going backwards, but in order to go backwards, we're trying to go forwards. So that's why we're having them go on a hunt to tell me which one is greater or less than by finding our own manipulatives. And I know it's really hard because we don't have a whole set of manipulatives for everyone, so this is why we get creative and we run around the house and we find things. So, it also wears a little bit of energy out of the kids, so that's great. So I have a 2 and a 5 here, and I'm going to run around the house, and I found 2 remotes, so I'm going to put that in front of my 2, and over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 coasters. I found 5 coasters in my house. So, now that I have 2 and 5 things, I'm going to try and explain which number is more and which number is less. So which number has a greater value, I'm trying to explain that. And the reason why this game is so great is because it allows students to really focus on their math vocabulary skills and elaborate why they believe something. So if a student's trying to tell me 2 is greater than 5, you can easily say, okay, well here's 2 remotes and here's 5 coasters. Which is there more of? And they'll say, oh, there's more coasters than there are remotes. And then you can say, but I thought you said 2 was bigger than 5. So now it gets them thinking a little more about how they can articulate what they're trying to say and how they're supposed to say it. So I really like this game for that reason. And if this is too easy for them, what you can do is you can have them make a number sentence. This will involve a pencil and paper, and what they can do is they can flip over 2 cards. So I already have my 2 over here, and then I flip another card and it's a 9. So I'll have 2 and 9 together, and I have to solve that equation. So before I write anything down or do anything with the pencil and paper, I'm going to go find my 2 and 5. So I know I already have 2, I found 2 remotes, so I have 2 remotes. Now I need to go find 9 of something. So if it was me, I would go into my closet and grab 9 shirts. So now I'm adding shirts and remotes. Now I know typically we wouldn't want students adding different uncategorized things together. Like we wouldn't say apples plus oranges equals bananas. But in this case, because we are lacking manipulatives, we're going to do that. So we're going to say, I have 2 remotes, I have 9 shirts, how many are there in total? So I want to know how many remotes and shirts I have together. So we're not asking them to kind of mess around a little bit, but for the sake of the lack of manipulatives, we're going to ask them to how many do I have in total? And that would be 11. So then once they've come to that conclusion, they can go ahead and write it down on a piece of paper once they have solved it themselves. So that way, for the parents that are working at home, they can show the parents and say, okay, I have this number sentence. Can you please check my equation to make sure it's correct? And mom and dad will look at it and say, okay, 9 plus 2 is 11. Good job. Or it might say 9 plus 2 is 13. And you can say, oh, can you explain this to me? I'm not sure that I understand 9 plus 2 equals 13. So then it's time for the children to go back and look and say, okay, well, I have 9 shirts and I have 2 remotes. Let me count them all together. And you would do that for the same with the other deck of cards as well. So that way they're still comparing, they're just doing addition instead. So you would still flip the 2 cards from both decks. So just like that. And then you would add them. And if that is too challenging or not challenging enough, you could do subtraction. And if you want them to work with smaller numbers, you could take out the 6, 7, 8s, and 9s and 10s and simply just work with 2 through 5. So you can kind of interchange this game for a high student or a low student. It really just depends on what exactly your student needs per se. And I think this game would not only burn energy for your little ones, but I think it'll really help them grasp the concept of explaining and elaborating their thinking process as they go through learning math. And that's something that teachers struggle getting the answers from kids because they don't know how to articulate what they're thinking. So this game will really help with that. And I hope this really helps you guys. We will, this is a standard from the Colorado State Standards online set. It is helping students be aware of recognizing a number and correlating it to an object, as well as verbally talking and going through what number is greater than or less than. If you do have any questions, please let me know. And you can make a comment below. But thank you guys. Hope you're all being safe.